I can push this back now because I don't need that mic. All right. Silas, restarting. Got it figured out. There was a little button that I didn't realize I had to press. There was a little button that, well, not a little button. Basically, I'm blaming it on my laptop. I'm on my laptop. My gosh. I'm on my laptop, and that kind of ruined me because my screen isn't as wide as it should be. And there was a little thing at the very bottom where I had to like scroll down, and it was the audio, and we got it fixed. So we're back. We got Twitter Spaces going. We got people already requesting, which is awesome. The best way of doing that is get way up on the mic. Yeah, there we go. The best way of doing that is as I go through topics. We got a lot of topics tonight. It's a great show. A lot of things happened between now and last week. So as things are kind of going, before I move on to the next topic, I'm going to be looking over at Twitter Spaces, which is going to be if you're listening right now, after the fact, you missed out. We got a live show going on. Audio sounds the same. It should be coming from here. It should be sounding way better. It doesn't sound way better. My Yeti is not the source. No, I definitely made my Yeti my source. Oh, I'm gonna be so sad if this is just like blunders left and right. So many blunders. I mean, it sounds like it should be coming from this. I feel like I had it set up to where it's coming. Right now, this is probably riveting information for all the listeners on Twitter Spaces. Okay. What the heck? How's it? Testing. Testing. All right, figure this out. Testing. Are we back? Can you hear me? Is it coming? I don't know what's going on. I can't trust anyone. I can't trust anyone. There's people trolling me in here, which is fair because I trolled you guys as well. I need Silas. Where the flip is Silas when I need him? I can't trust anyone in the chat. Everyone's just messing around. It's 10 o'clock. I'm trying to get the show going. And everyone's telling me it's not coming from the Yeti. Nothing can be trusted anymore. Silas is gone. I'm solo. Oh man. Oh, I can trust Dusty. Dusty, tell me, are we good? ASMR. Are we live? My gosh. I have so much to talk about. I can't trust anyone. It's not the Yeti. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. It doesn't sound horrible. We're just going. I don't know what happened. I changed the whole thing. We're going to go. We're going to go. All right. Here we go. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Debate Night. If you join the live stream, you can see how crazy of a debate night it's been so far. It's been going back and forth nonstop. I've been fighting for my life against the audio. If it sounds trash, I apologize. I'll try to figure it out next time. I literally thought I got it fixed. We restarted the stream. I don't know anymore. I got people in the chat telling me it sounds good. People telling me it doesn't sound good. I don't know anymore, but I have a lot to say, and I want to start the show. We're live on Twitter Spaces right now. We got 70 people listening over on Twitter Spaces. We got a couple hundred here on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining so late tonight. Apologies. Like I said in the last one, if you joined us earlier, this show, what we're doing right now, will be called something different. I saw a bunch of people enjoyed this show, and I want to give the people what they want. So we're going to continue this show, but it will be a new name. So stay tuned for that. And we have Trevor's Baby, his show that he's been prepping for a while, coming out soon as well. So be on the lookout for that. But without further ado, it's Wednesday, January 11th. We got debate night. Let's jump into it. First topic. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter or on Instagram, but I posted my conversation that I had with Ezra. If you did not get a chance to see that, I will read that out loud for you all now. Where is he at? Ezzy. So Ezra, we were talking previously because we're going to be doing – this year will be a little bit different on tour for me. I'm not going to be going so much with the hotels. I want to be able to cook my own food and kind of keep track of what I'm putting in my body. So we're going to be doing a lot more Airbnbs. So as of right now, it looks like me, Ezra, and the Goose Man himself, Aaron Gossage, will be doing a lot of Airbnbs. Garrett will be joining us, which you guys have seen probably in some videos for some. And we might have some stragglers here and there. But that will be pretty much the core of the Airbnb life on tour. So we've been talking kind of back and forth about Airbnbs. We've been talking back and forth about filming and how we want to go about it. And out of the blue, this was on December 29th, he texted me, "You a gyro guy now?" I responded with the LOL. Then he said, "Wow," crying emoji, RIP get freaky, which I then responded, "Relax, we will still film, haha." And then he finished with the, "Yeah, I don't care if we throw different discs for videos, LOL." Then he asked me if I was throwing a specific MVP disc, and he said like those were his discs that he liked before he started throwing nukes. And I told him, "You'll see soon enough." At that point, Ezra thought I was gone, which was awesome because in my head, I was like, oh man, I'm going to walk in and he's going to be like, what the heck? Why is Brodie here? Unfortunately, he was alerted before that someone was going to go pick me up at the airport. So I didn't get to see like the face of him being like, why the heck are you here? But it was still worth the payout of him believing that I left Discraft for as long as I did. Now, I do want to go a little bit more into that, my deal and stuff. I do want to mention also the photo that I took. I was not lying. I was testing out a new disc there. However, I wasn't testing out the discs that were perfectly placed to be in the photo. I wasn't testing out the Team Innova disc that was perfectly underneath some of the discs that you could see the Team Innova stamp that Avery Jenkins gave me, or the Paradox disc that Kelsey throws, that is an MVP disc, or the dynamic disc bag that I got for Worlds that was just perfectly in the corner. I think some of you guys picked up on it, some didn't. But yeah, that was a little bit of fun. It was fun to kind of see people speculating, I guess, if you will. Now, I will say, pen had not hit paper with my contract with Discraft until yesterday. 30 minutes prior to them announcing the elite team, I was still a free agent at that moment. So there wasn't this there wasn't this thing of where like I had signed with Discraft 3 months ago and I knew it, and I was just waiting basically to announce it. There was a lot of back and forth going on, and it wasn't up until yesterday around probably 12 o'clock my time, because we were out in Vegas at the time. 3 o'clock, I think, Eastern is when they posted it. So like 12:30 or no, it'd be like 11:30 my time. It finally got signed. I'll go a little bit more into detail with my contract on some of the things that I'm excited about. And if there's questions and stuff, I'll answer those as well, or at least what I can answer. Before I do that, though, I do want to talk about the Discraft trip a little bit. So a lot of people on Discraft have recently moved to Florida. You have Paige, who lives in the Panhandle, and then you have Paul, which, funny enough, literally moved down the street from my Florida house. I have a Florida house in Ponte Vedra that my mom lives out of, and he surprisingly moved just north of there. And so I think that was the idea of why we ended up settling on that location, was being close to Paul, I believe, because we weren't actually really close to any disc golf courses. I think the nearest disc golf course was like 20, 25 minutes away. And then New World, where all the elite videos, videos that you'll see coming out, some advertisements, some commercials, and then obviously the elite video that Shane edited. I want to say his name is Jamie. I'm terrible with names. I believe Jamie was also the other person that was there filming. They did a great job. That was out at New World, and New World is where we played the last Silver Series of 2022. And New World was like 45 minutes away. So we weren't super close to anything, but we were. It was super convenient in the sense for Paul, and I think they also were having like Ezra, I think, is not doing the RV anymore, and so then they had to switch out the RV with someone else. So there was a lot of moving parts. Anyways, they rented, and I think they still have an Airbnb rented in that neighborhood. And I think there still are players from Discraft still in this Airbnb. I flew in for the days I needed to be there. So I needed to be there for like 2.5 days. So I flew in, did my things, bounced. We had a job out in Vegas, so I immediately basically went out there. A lot of the Discraft people, like I said, are still hanging out there, but essentially we all need to be there for this one day, which was the elite team shoot that you guys got to see that Discraft posted not too long ago. So let's talk about elite team real quick. Who's on the elite team? So you have myself, Aaron Gossage, moving up to the elite team this year. You have Anthony Barela leaving Innova and signing with Discraft, making the elite team. You have Valerie Mandahano leaving Dynamic Disc, signing with Discraft, making the elite team. And you have Holland Hanley leaving, I believe, Dynamic Disc as well, signing with Discraft, making the elite team. There you have it, the elite team. So let's talk about myself. Making the elite team was a huge thing. That was something that obviously, like, my contract and the way I'm currently set up is a little bit different than a lot of other players that aren't at the highest tier of their teams. For the most part, from what I've gathered, if you're not at the highest tier at most teams, Discraft will be willing to work with you, or Innova or MVP or Dynamic, any manufacturer will be willing to work with you to essentially say, you can buy essentially discs from us, and then you can, sell those discs yourselves. But outside of the tour, like the elite team, Discraft doesn't really put too much promotion behind that. So when you become on the elite team, you get a Tour Series disc. And what a Tour Series disc basically gets is you get a pick, or Discraft or Innova, whoever, gets to help you decide what disc your Tour Series disc is going to be. They put your name on it, and then they heavily market that disc throughout the year. And a lot of people on the highest level make their living or make most of their sponsorship off the royalties of that disc. So if you are a fan of a player, you going out and buying their Tour Series disc, and this was like the reason why it was called Tour Series was it was basically the driving factor for a lot of players to make enough money to actually go tour. That's obviously not the case now because there's a lot of other money going on in the sponsorships to where you don't necessarily need the revenue from, or the royalties rather, from that disc to make it on tour. But it obviously is nice. And it's also, at the end of the day, Discraft, Dynamic, Innova, all these teams, they basically, let's just say they all make 20,000 of a disc. Okay. So there's 20,000 zones, 20,000 buzzes, 20,000 nukes, 20,000 vultures, 20,000 buzz SSs. There's 20,000 of all these discs, and they're each someone's Tour Series disc. That's an easy way for Discraft to just be like, okay, who actually sells discs? Who has fans that are willing to support them? Now, obviously, the disc actually matters here, because if you do pick up disc that is not a known disc, not something that people like to throw a lot, your sales are probably going to suffer a little bit, versus if you have a zone or you have a buzz or you have something along those lines where people those are very popular discs no matter whose names are on them. So you have to be a little strategic with what disc you want to pick. But at the end of the day, this is like the easiest way for fans to basically say, like, we like this guy, we're a fan of this guy, we are supporting this guy. Because if you have someone that can literally sell out of their Tour Series disc all the time, it would be hard for Discraft to be like, holy cow, this guy's not valuable to us, right? Regardless of what they do during the season performance-wise, if their Tour Series discs are selling crazy, that's a real easy way for the manufacturer to be like, this is awesome. So with that being said, my Tour Series disc for 2023 will be I'm not going to give that away yet. Maybe in a future podcast, but soon. Twitter died. Are we back live on Twitter? Okay, people are coming back. All right. I think we're coming back on Twitter. I'm not quite sure what happened on Twitter, but we should be back. We should be back ready to go. I'll be adding some people. I don't know what happened. My Twitter space too long or something? I don't know. We had some people requesting, but not anymore. I'll keep an eye on that. But yes, I'll be announcing my Tour Series disc once it gets all finalized, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be exciting. Outside of the actual disc, because ultimately, if you're a player, the Tour Series disc is like the biggest thing when it – oh, my gosh. All right, we're going to hold on with me. I don't know what's going on with Debate Night podcast. I don't know what just happened with Twitter, but it just canceled my Twitter Spaces. So we're going to start this back up, and we're going to share it so we can get some people in here. I'm going to post it on here. So hold on. Sorry. This is super unprofessional. But this is what happens when you run a show by yourself. Things like this are going to happen, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just dealing with the situations of I'm running a show solo dolo at 10:16 at night after I just blew my legs out in the gym. And you know what? It's fine. I'm not worried. Can I just edit this? Dang it. Okay, I just gotta remove that. Okay. Join Twitter Spaces to talk with me. Boom. Pin. Place pin message. Boom. Love that. Are we back on Twitter Spaces? It looks like we're back on Twitter Spaces. All right. I'm gonna bring in my first caller here. We got Landon in the wings. Landon, hold on if you're listening. You're up next, so get ready. But I'm gonna finish this real quick before we bring Landon in here. So the majority of pros getting on the elite team, the star team, I have no idea what MVP calls their team or anyone else. I just know elite and star. Getting on those teams, the most valuable thing is the fact that you have a Tour Series disc. Now, obviously, I'm in a different ball game. I jumped in the first year and I immediately got the Get Freaky. I got a stock. I had disc galore. We had plenty of discs. So for me, getting a Tour Series disc, is it cool? Sure. Am I excited to have you guys? I mean, tons of people have been saying, I can't wait to get a Tour Series disc. Obviously, that is a huge thing. But more importantly to me is the fact that I was able to have a season that got me on the Tour Series team. I could have been on the Tour Series team year 1, year 2, year 3 if Discraft was like, you know what, if we get Brodie a Tour Series disc, it's going to sell probably, so let's just get him on here. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to earn my spot. And if you go back and look at my season, I feel like I did that. I was very aware with where people were, where I was, and what I needed to do to essentially make myself on the Tour Series team. And I feel like I did that. So, I didn't forget Corey Ellis. Thank you. Someone I saw in the chat. Corey Ellis also is on the Tour Series team as well. Or sorry, elite team. Made the elite team as well. And so now it's all about maintaining that and improving. Can I do better to maintain my spot on the elite team? I did sign a 2-year deal with Discraft, so I will be with Discraft from 2023 to 2025. Can I stay on the elite team? That is the question. And obviously there's other goals and stuff in there. But if you look at the elite team, I almost tweeted this the other day, but I couldn't figure out the right way of wording it. I wanted to say something along the lines of like, if I beat everybody that's sponsored by Discraft, if I go into a tournament and I finish and I'm the highest finisher that's sponsored by Discraft, there's a very good chance that I either won the tournament or like got top 5. The amount of talent that's on Discraft this year is very high. So, it's going to be very competitive. And you have a lot of people also that aren't on the elite team that are also very good at disc golf and also want to be very competitive. So it's going to be good. Now, again, something I'll say out there, I'll be the first to say it, and a lot of people can disagree or agree with me on this. I don't view people sponsored by Discraft as teammates. I don't. I view them that we both have a mutual interest in the fact that we're sponsored by the same company, and so we want to do the best for that company. And if that makes sense, if it makes sense to work together to do cool stuff, that's fine. But I do not view people that are sponsored by Discraft differently than people that are sponsored by Innova, MVP, Dynamic, Lone Star, whatever. I'm basically viewing people based off my interactions with them, whether or not I like them, whether or not they're good people, whether or not they're someone that I want to hang out with. That's how I view it. The way I see it is, if I was on, I've played a lot of teams. I did Ultimate Frisbee for most of my career. I've been on a lot of teams. My relationship with, we'll just use Ezra, for example, because we actually have a good relationship. But if that relationship, let's just say all of a sudden ended, and I was like, I don't want to talk to Ezra anymore. I don't want to hang out with him, whatever. When Ezra has his tee time tomorrow at 8:45, there is going to be zero impact on his round. I will have zero impact on his round. Now, if that's Ultimate Frisbee, where me and one of my wide receivers, let's say, one of my cutters downfield, all of a sudden have a feud, and we're no longer talking to each other, and we don't want to hang out with each other, and all of that, well, then now I'm going to look at the camera now. Is this weirder? Is it weirder looking at the camera? I'm going to start looking at the camera. Is that weird? Or do you guys like me? Do you like me looking here or looking at the camera? Because I might start looking at the camera. It might be more personal if I'm looking at the camera. I'll see what everyone says, and we'll go from there. They don't care. Camera. I'm looking at the camera. My point being, ultimate Frisbee team, if I have a feud with someone, now we have an issue because now that's chemistry. Now that's throwing off the team aspect. We have to work together to be successful. If our chemistry is thrown off, that's a bad thing. That's why I don't view like the whole team Discraft, team Innova, team MVP the same way as I think a lot of people do. However, if there comes a point where there is another side of disc golf where they're like, you know what? We are going to have a manufacturer's cup. We are going to keep track of the top 5 player finishes in every manufacturer throughout the season, award points. And at the end of the season, there will be a manufacturer that is awarded the best team. If that is the case, I am all on board. Again, it's still individual. If it's me and Ezra on the final card, I am trying to beat the crap out of him. However, if there is a team aspect like that, of where there's prestige, there's notoriety, there's money, there's stuff that's involved with actually winning at the end of the year, I'm all for it. As of right now, there's none of that. So to me, walking into a group of people that are sponsored by Discraft and walking in a group of people that are sponsored by a completely different manufacturer, to me, there's no difference. There's going to be some people in the room that I really like. There's going to be some people in the room that I don't like. Some people I want to hang out with and talk. Some people that I don't want to. There's no difference. So I'll give that out there because I know that gets talked about a decent amount. Let's bring Landon in. He's been waiting long enough. Let's see what he has to say. Hopefully it's on the topic. That's the whole idea of the show is, oh, he just immediately bailed. Okay, try it again. Let's see. Hopefully it's on the topic. Landon, let's see. Is it on the topic? What do you got for us? You got to unmute yourself, brother.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Just lower the volume of the stream in the background so we don't hear like double.
Got it. Well, you kind of answered my question with the team dynamic. I was going to ask what it was like compared to other team sports you played. So you literally just answered that question. But on the topic, kind of just going further into that, obviously you're close with Ezra. But what were the vibes like, or I guess what was the dynamic between the elite team while you guys were all together for a couple days doing that? Obviously, it seems like AB and Adam have gone back and been close to each other. You and Ezra spent a lot of time filming together. But how is that dynamic with some new members coming together?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, it's a weird dynamic. Like I probably make it a weird dynamic for everyone because, just the situation. A lot of people probably don't want to get on Paul's bad side, and it's been pretty obvious that I have no relationship with Paul anymore. I pretty much have cut that off completely, and so if I'm not surprised that people are taking that side over my side. I would not. It doesn't surprise me at all. So I'm sure it's a little bit awkward for some people, maybe with me being in the same room in that regard. But at the end of the day, like I'm there to get the job done. It's not that big of a deal. Like there's a lot of people. You view it this way: in the majority of office jobs, where you have a handful of people all in the same office, there are going to be some people that like each other and some people that don't like each other, but they understand that they have to get the job done. That's the same thing. I knew what I was getting myself into. It's not that big of a deal. We can stay professional and get the video shots and all that stuff that we need to go. It's honestly not that big of a deal. I did tell some people this, which I think is a decent growth for me because I'm pretty bad at holding grudges. It's a pretty known fact. If you followed my ultimate Frisbee career, that is probably a weakness of mine of where once you're like dead to me, essentially, like you're dead to me and there's really nothing that you can do to get that back. I feel like that's where I maybe have grown a little bit the last few months, to where I'm at the point of where if Paul does want to have a conversation with me and kind of set, I don't know, like if he wanted, this is where I'm at. If he wanted to put forth the effort, I'm down to kind of squash it and move forward. But I'm in the position of where it's like, you go back and watch the last debate night where we talked about the whole thing, right? About how everything happened. I just don't think I'm in a position to where like I want to put the step out there first, if that makes sense. So that's where I'm at. So we'll see if he reaches out and wants to talk about it. I'm down. But again, it's not changing anything. It doesn't change anything with Discraft. Discraft, everything runs smoothly. And then you have great people coming in. Like I got to spend a little bit of time with Holland Hamley. She seems like an incredible person, and also someone that has like a really incredible work ethic, or at least like the small amount of time I got to see. And so that I think that's gonna be awesome to kind of see her growth with Discraft. You got Corey Ellis, who is just an absolute monster. We played this like old school video game for a while, me, him, and Ezra and Yuli. He's a super nice guy. Obviously, I had a great time playing with him and Ricky, even though they destroyed us. And then, it's still like a good group of people. Don't get me wrong. Like, I guess it's also, I'm old as crap. I'm getting up there in my years. So I think it's a little bit different than if I was younger. I would probably be a little bit more interested or eager to like start relationships. But I guess I'm also kind of old, and I'm also at the point too of where, unfortunately, I have gotten burned so many times to where, I keep people at a distance. Me and Ezra for the longest time, we talked a little bit, but we didn't like jump into a crazy friendship right away. It kind of slowly grew over time. I'm just a little bit more hesitant nowadays with people's intentions and stuff, which again might be a negative thing, might be something that I should work on. But I got friends from college, I got friends from high school that have been around from day one, before YouTube, before social media, before all that. And we can kind of just keep that relationship going. So I'm not really looking to go out and try to make new friends. If it happens, it happens, kind of thing.
Awesome. And I saw your Instagram posts about you kind of tricking Ezra for a little bit.
Yeah.
Did he know you were going to show up before you showed up to Florida? When did he find out you were re-signing?
Yeah, so Bob was picking me up from the airport. And so I think Bob on the way out said, I'm going to pick up Brodie. And he was like, Brodie? Like Brodie Smith? And he's like, yeah. And he was just like dumbfounded. He was completely confused. So, and also the text message, if you go and look at it, I didn't lie. I didn't say anything that wasn't true. He kind of just dug his own grave with putting himself in a pretzel, essentially, of what was happening. So, but all right, man, thanks for calling in, brother. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, we got Hunter here. Let's see what Hunter's got to say on the issues. Well, hold on, Hunter, before you say that, I want to just address this comment real quick because we are live right now. If you want to join the conversation, definitely jump over on the Twitter Spaces. Brock just laid a comment down. Brock, I would love for you to jump over on the Twitter Spaces with your comment, and I would love to discuss that because I feel like you're missing some things. You're missing a few key details. I move on in a lot of situations in my life. Look, a couple months ago or a couple years ago, the whole good situation, moved on completely from that. So I think you're missing a few things. Would love for you to join the Twitter space. Hunter, sorry about that. Continue.
Oh yeah. You kind of touched on it a little bit maybe, but like how much influence, I guess, did you have in how they announced you on the elite team? It sounds like none, right?
Yeah, no, I obviously had talked to them. I had, I had a really, really clever idea that I wanted to do for like my own announcement. But with how the contract was going and stuff, like I thought the contract was going to happen and get done way ahead of time. Obviously, it got signed 30 minutes before the announcement. I had already filmed all that stuff, and I was technically at that time an unsigned professional disc golfer. But that was all with hopes that we would get to where we needed to get to. So, like, it kind of squashed my like big plan for the announcement. Like, we ended up just doing a photo, right? Like, that's how I announced that I was staying with Discraft. But I had a way cooler idea, and I don't want to say it because I might use it in the future. Who knows? But yeah, they had an idea, they had an issue. I know some people probably want to talk a little bit about, because my thing with getting announced that way on the elite team, I don't care at all. But I could see how some people might be a little bummed with like how AB, Val, Holland, the players that weren't signed with Discraft and came over kind of got lumped in with all the players that got moved up. And I can see it. It's tough for me. I can see it both ways. I can see it where, okay, if you announce each one individually, does it make the big elite team announcement smaller? Probably. But also, does it give those players a little bit more limelight instead of having to share it with Corey, myself, Aaron, guys that also moved up to the elite team, maybe as well. So I don't know. It's a tough one.
That was kind of, I guess, kind of what I was leading into, because for people like you, and I would put AB probably in that camp as well. It kind of, I was expecting something like, like we got with James Conrad last year, something like Prodigy put together, for Kevin Jones last year, what I'm assuming we're going to see with Simon. It's going to be a big deal. There's going to be a full video.
Yeah.
And I too was thinking, like, Discraft just put out a 56-second video about a bunch of new talent coming to the top of their team that a lot of people were super excited about. It was less than a minute, and they spent 5.5 minutes on a video to tell us that they're adding one more claw mark, to like Paul's new disc. Like, we know, like, shocker.
Well, I'll say this: there is a lot more content from the Florida trip to come out yet. Like, we did film some other stuff as well, so there is more of that. Now, like, what is the strategy and the best way of marketing like new additions? I will say, like, myself re-signing, or rather, like, extending my contract with someone is not as big of a deal as like AB, Val, or Holland coming to Discraft. Like, someone leaving their sponsor and coming to Discraft is a much bigger deal than me just doing an extension. So I could see, like, I think the way they announced it for me, like, I didn't have any issues. Like, I didn't care that me being announced to the elite team was lumped in with everyone else. But I could see if I was in maybe AB, Holland, or Val's shoe, I could be like, oh, it would have been nice if we kind of got like announced that we were signing with Discraft before the actual elite team announcement. So I could see that.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of felt it most for like AB, like you were saying. And then just real quick, before I get off here, I just wondered where you were at on your Peloton ride.
Oh, good question. So I'm adding all you guys, but just mute yourself until I call on you, please. Thank you. We are making moves. I think we are. Let me give you like a full update real quick. And I appreciate you understanding that I'm not actually physically biking to New York, but rather virtually every time I do a class.
Yeah, logistically that would be a lot more difficult.
It would also be like the worst time to do it too. It would be freezing cold. As of right now, I have gone 344 miles. I still have 1,200 to go. I am just Let's see, where am I? I just passed Little Rock. I'm like 50 miles past Little Rock, Arkansas. So we're making moves, and I'm gonna crank it up. I think one thing I want to do too is I want to do a live stream, like 100-mile live stream, because I'm getting to the point of where I can like sustain roughly around like 21 miles per hour. So if I do a live stream, if I do like a 5-hour live stream, I can ride basically 100 miles. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm all for it. Good luck.
All right. Appreciate you calling in. All right. Dusty, I think you're next, brother.
All right. So I wanted to.
Can you guys mute? Hey, if you're not Dustin, can you guys mute yourself until I call on you, please? I don't like having the power to mute you. I like you guys doing that yourselves. All right. Here we go. Let's hear it.
All right. So first, I will say that you didn't troll me at all. I got to get that off my chest, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saw past it.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because the last debate night, that I had to get that one out there.
Yeah.
All right. But to get to this, to get back to the topic we were talking about your view on being a part of the same manufacturer as not being a part of the same team.
Yep.
I feel everything that you said, and I don't disagree. However, I do think there are some aspects of being with the same manufacturer that for a lot of people do turn out to feel like there's collaboration. Obviously, the content side of it's one thing, but I guess theoretically you could do that with anyone, no matter what their manufacturer is. Though I do think it's harder. I do think it's harder though when you're not part of the same manufacturer.
I don't have any limitations on who I film with, any limitations on who comes on the podcast. I have no limitations. I can do whatever I want.
Right, but the one thing I will say, and I'm not saying that you do this, but one thing that I do seem to see with people who are in the same manufacturer that do give it like a slight team vibe is kind of like when new people come in, kind of like helping them understand like what molds to throw, what runs are good. And so
can I give you a little spoiler there?
All right.
What disc do you think they're recommending that people throw?
I mean, the disc that they throw.
That maybe they make money off of as well?
Sure, but I do think that there are probably some instances where
sure.
Like, hey,
no, for sure.
This might be too overstable for you. You might like this better. So it does seem like there is some collaboration there.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying all of it, but I mean I have seen it firsthand, not just on Discraft, but on other manufacturers as well, of where people are trying to get you to potentially put a disc in your bag and throw it, that at the end of the day is going to help them sell more of that disc, So there, yes and no. I always say yes and no. I don't think every single like, oh, you should throw this disc. I don't think all of that is coming from a 100% I'm just trying to help you out situation, right? And again, you also have to think too, at what point, look at the PGA Tour. Some of those guys hold a lot of stuff to their chest, right? And they pick and choose who they tell information to. I think you're going to see that as well in disc golf if the money ever gets there, right? Like if the money ever gets up to the point of where it's an absorbent amount of money. Like why would you just be going out and giving everyone your secrets? You wouldn't, right? You would be picking certain people that you do it to. And you see it like with Tiger Woods, for example. Like Tiger Woods has taken like Justin Thomas under his wing. But I remember talking to Rom, and Rom was basically saying like he hasn't learned a single thing from Tiger. Like he asked Tiger, I think, a question on the putting green one time, and Tiger kind of just gave him the runaround, right? So I think there's things like that too in play of where right now there is it's a little bit easier for someone to be like, oh yeah, let me help you with this and let me do that. There are some guys I play with that give me zero information, and then there's some people that I've played with that have helped me out a lot, that have given me a lot of tips. and have said, hey, try this or do this or whatnot, outside of the actual throw this disc or throw that disc. So we'll see. I don't foresee that. I mean, there's a chance that never happens in disc golf, right? There's a chance that disc golf continues to stay the size that it is and the money that it is. And it can still kind of be this like everyone helps everyone type of thing. But at a certain point, like when you start getting competitive people in here and it is an individual sport, at a certain point, you kind of have to pick and choose who you want to give information to and who you don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's one of those things too. Like me and Ezra, for example, have a really good relationship to where there's some things that I'm better than he is at, and there's some things he's better than me at. So we can kind of bounce ideas off of. And then you have some people like Calvin, for example, where like Calvin's kind of an open book. The rounds I've played with him, he's been super helpful to just like give his 2 cents and say like, yeah, this is how I do it. This is what I think is best. So yeah, but I see what you're saying in that idea, but I'm more on the lines of where it's like, all right, let's all go have a pizza party and go out in the back and put a movie on and all watch it together. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like that's not really what I'm looking to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I would do that if it was an actual team, to where it's like I would suck it up and do things to understand like team chemistry is a thing. Like I'll go to Topgolf if everyone's like, hey, let's go to Topgolf as a team. Yeah, let's go. And we did end up doing that one night because that's a lot of fun and I'll enjoy that. But like there's certain aspects where it's like there's certain things where I'm just not going to do. Like I said, pin it on me being like a grumpy old man, I guess, if you will. But it is what it is.
Can I ask one more question?
Go for it.
Sorry. All right. So you don't have to go into like crazy detail if you don't want to on this one. But I feel like people are going to be curious about this one. Was there a chance that you would have gone somewhere else that wasn't Discraft?
Yes.
Or was that always like probably the highest probable thing?
I think Discraft, out of like if you were doing percentages, I think it was definitely the highest percentage, but there was other percentages in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Just curious.
Yep. All right, appreciate it, brother. All right, Hunter, you're up. Oh wait, no, we already talked to Hunter. Sorry, Hunter. 1 second. Give me Colin. I think Colin's ready to go. Colin, what do you got?
Yeah, ready to go. Hey, Brodie. Huge fan. Excited to see what's going on next year. Switching gears a little bit, or maybe talking about extracurriculars. You've been on the tour a few years. Are there any upgrades in terms of your routine, accommodation, etc., that you're planning on implementing for the upcoming season?
You say accommodation, like where I'm living, like?
Yeah, just like, I mean, I know it's a big commitment, obviously, in terms of lifestyle. On the PGA Tour, you're every weekend you're somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you deal with that. I don't know any details there, but are you planning any changes there, or any improvements that you're looking forward to?
Well, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I will be looking into like getting Airbnbs now, which I think will be huge for me, just for the fact of me being able to cook my own food. It's very, very difficult to eat a certain lifestyle if you're constantly having to eat every meal out. And also like, it's just very hard to track certain things if you're trying to track macros and all that stuff. So that will be a huge thing for me is being able to actually be able to cook my food and know exactly, the amount of calories and protein and all those things I'm putting in. Because I mean, last year I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing. And it didn't go well.
Well, yeah. What was the situation last year? How are you?
I was doing mostly hotels. And so, you would occasionally do like the breakfast in the morning at the hotel, and then you'd go play. And while you're out there, you'd eat a couple protein bars and a banana and some nuts. And then you'd eat like, I don't know, Waffle House afterwards or something. And then at night you'd have Chipotle or, like you just bounced around, and it's like, it's very, very hard to tell like what you're actually putting into your body,
Do these tournaments have like like refueling tables and stuff?
Yes.
Like they have at Ultimate Tournament.
Some better than others. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good
Yeah.
luck next year.
Of course. Thank you. Jordan, what you got?
Hey, man.
What's up, brother?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you. Just about the teammates thing. You're not working towards the same goal necessarily as far as tournaments go, but don't you think, like, if Discraft does well in general, you do well, right? Like, don't you want
that's an interesting one.
Discraft to win?
That is an interesting one. Let me ask you this question: If Ezra wins a tournament, are you gonna be more inclined to buy one of my discs?
Well, maybe not, but maybe I'm more inclined to buy a nuke or whatever disc he's peddling. But that puts me in the Discraft family, and then I look at other discs.
Yeah,
so it's not. I understand.
There is some indirect. Yeah, no, I agree. There is some indirect there for sure, and I can see too how, like, if someone on Discraft, let's throw Aaron Gossage out, right? Let's say Aaron Gossage balls out of control, wins 2 majors, wins like 3 Elite Series events, #1 player in the world. Okay.
Oh, way to go, Aaron.
Yeah, that probably is going to help Discraft in sales, right? And ultimately, this is a business, and it's a business that relies 100% on sales. So now Discraft is bringing in more money to where they then can allocate that money elsewhere. But ultimately, if I have like a terrible season, and people just could care less about watching me, don't want to support me anymore, all that stuff, it ultimately doesn't really matter if Discraft all of a sudden just has this huge influx of cash, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's an individual sport and it's solely based on how I do. And that's why, it's one of those where, I heard this all the time in when I was training at MJP. We would have a lot of NFL guys go there, and they would always talk about like how there were certain guys in the locker room that you just knew weren't team guys, and they were like individual stat guys. They would much rather, have 115 yards receiving and lose the game than have 30 yards receiving and win the game, right? And when you go and when you have that kind of player on your team, that can cause a lot of issues. In an individual.
So obviously, if you're on lead card with Ezra and it's up to the two of you, like, you're gonna pull for yourself, and that makes sense. But like, to not call him a teammate, I think doesn't make as much sense.
Well, here's a question. I'm like pretty good friends with like Zach Milton. Calvin Heimberg's another dude where I probably like him more than he likes me. Might be the fair way of saying that.
I feel the same way about you.
Oh, okay. Well, we're in the same boat then. I really like all my interactions with Calvin. I like him a lot. He seems like a really cool dude. I wish I did more stuff with him. So like, he's a perfect example of where if Calvin was going up against someone on Discraft, let's say, that I don't necessarily have a greatest relationship with, like, am I wrong to be rooting for a guy that I really like, that I think is a really good person?
No, of course not. But I'm just saying I think the word teammate is pretty black and white in this scenario where, like, these are, at the end of the day, your teammates, so like, it's pretty easy to root. I mean, you're a guy who's very into.
Do you see it? Sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to pose another question. What if Nike came in, okay, and now Nike signs 5 people, myself included, and 4 other pros to an apparel sponsorship? Are they my teammates now? Or is it different because one's apparel and then one's disc? One's more like the tools that we use versus just a shirt that we wear? Or do you view them the same?
No, I mean they are kind of the same, because I think the crux of my point there is like you're trying to do the best for yourself, right? And for whatever company you're representing, and for whatever company that may be, whether it's apparel or equipment or whatever, you want it to do well overall. So like you're still, you're still teammates. Also, I would much prefer Adidas than Nike.
Oh, okay. Well, here's one other hypothetical for you. If everyone has this mindset, right? Because I'll just straight up tell you, I think a lot of people.
This is your mindset.
No. I'm saying if everyone has the mindset that you have of where like we're teammates and everyone's rooting for each other, which I'll just be the first one to tell you, I think there's a lot of BS out there of where people say this, but then will say crap behind your back.
Sure.
So I'm just being real and honest about it, right? Of just saying like I don't think it's a thing. If everyone had that mindset of like, I want my teammates to do well. I want my teammates to do well. I want my teammates to do well. But is there a certain point though? Is it I want my teammates to do well, but not better than me? Is that the mindset?
It's not your teammates doing well. It's your company that you work for doing well, right? Like that's no offense or anything. That's kind of your whole brand is like
no.
bumping up the numbers, right?
No. This is a part. This is a sponsorship. This is a 100% a sponsorship where it should be the same exact way of where Discraft is not saying, okay, we have 10 signed athletes, 9 of them did incredible, but 1 of them underperformed. But because the 9 did incredible, we're going to keep the one that underperformed. Like that person that underperformed, they're out. Like I view it both ways. If I'm not thinking if I play terrible to the point of where everyone's like, I knew it, this guy sucks, he's trash. I have no problem with Discraft saying we got to let you go, man. Like this is not working. Even though all the other teammates of mine have done incredible, they can't pick up my slack. It's still a mutually one-on-one relationship between two people, between the company and the player.
Yeah, but that's literally you saying you want your teammates to do well. Is it not?
If I wanted all my teammates to do well, then at a certain point I wouldn't have a sponsorship. Because they would all do so much better than if they did all better than me, and all the because I mean, are the people off the elite team still my teammates? Are all the people on the tour team my teammates?
I mean, like technically by words, yes. I guess they would.
Okay, that's actually an interesting question. Do you think the people on the elite team is a team, and do you think the people on the tour team is a team? So do you think like Chandler Fry, Tim Barham, Ben Calloway are rooting for each other to beat the people out on the elite team?
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting question. It is a good question. Like it gets down to like a deeper semantics thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is like, again, I think my original point is you're working for this company. And so and
I'm trying to do everything I can to make Discraft super successful. I'm trying to do everything I can to work with Discraft to help them in whatever I can do.
Right. And so this will be my last question.
Yeah.
Because you'll probably kick me off after this one.
Oh no, you're fine.
So like
no, these are good thinking points because again, it's one of those things of where I think before you ask, I think disc golf could have something going on here because there is this element that doesn't exist in other sports. There is,
dude, absolutely,
like
absolutely.
This team
that's
element.
Like a whole new conversation.
Yeah, like the people that are all team Nike that are basketball players, and the people that are all team TaylorMade or whatever. Like they don't ultimately all of a sudden someone becomes on the team, and now all of a sudden everyone has to like that person, everyone has to root that person. That's not actually how it works. So there is this interesting thing that disc golf has, and that's why I said there might be something where there could be this manufacturer situation of where there's actually a team, where there's actually a reason of where like all of a sudden we play like a doubles thing and we match up and it's like it's an FPO and an MPO player.
I think that would be very cool too. I mean that's a different. It's not even a different version of the word team, but I think that should be where at least part of disc golf goes, is to have the real team sort of thing like that. My point about teams is more like, of course, you're going to support your friend, but like I said, this will be my last point.
But everyone on your team is not your friend, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Like if you, you have played. Have you played? I mean, I'm assuming you've played some form of team sports growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some people on your team that you said this guy sucks, and I'm sure there were some people.
But I still wanted my team to win.
Well, yeah, because you're on the team. You're actually on the team. If Ezra goes out and wins a world championship, I like the dude. That does absolutely nothing for me. And what does that tell me? That means I didn't win the world championship. That means I didn't win the world championship. No, that means he beat me.
Do something for you. Discraft gets more popular, and with that, you get more popular.
I want to win. I want to win. And if Ezra wins, that means I didn't win. If my team wins, if I'm on a basketball team, and my arch nemesis that I hate so much
you're
is
riding the bench. You're riding the bench on a basketball
yeah,
team.
and my arch nemesis is our star player, and he drops 60 points, and we win the state championship. I'm going nuts because I'm on that team, even though I don't like the guy, and I'm not going to ever talk to him again.
So like Yuli, though, Yuli is team captain, right? So he's not elite team.
Yuli is still super competitive. He wants to beat the crap out of all of us. And if he doesn't, if he says he doesn't, he's lying.
You don't think he's happy when Paul Macbeth wins fucking worlds? Excuse my language.
I think he's happy because he's probably friends with Paul. But do you think he would rather? Do I think he would rather want Paul to win than him? No, I don't.
Well, of course not. Of course not. But he's happy for Discraft.
Sure, but my whole thing is like just because Discraft wins worlds, that ultimately doesn't have like I just don't view. I want to win.
I bet you will sell more zones if Discraft wins worlds than if they don't.
All right.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, there you have it.
That could be my last point.
All right. Hey, this was a good topic. This was a good. Hey, I appreciate you calling. This was fun to go back and forth. This is something I don't think has really ever been discussed on the show. So that was fun going back and forth.
Yeah.
All right.
I appreciate you, man.
Of course, brother. Take it easy. All right. Who else we got? Connor?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up?
All right. I've got a hot take for 2024 Worlds, and then kind of a suggestion with that for you.
Okay.
It's kind of change of topic here. So, with your familiarity of the Lynchburg area and you having the new London Tech course record on UDisc, and also assuming that your skill set gets better.
Wait, I have the what? I have the what at UDisc?
You have the course record on the new London Tech.
No, Paul has the course record.
On UDisc, you shot a 58. You have the course record right now. I just checked.
That's not right. I'm pretty sure Paul shot the course record one of the tournaments. It might not have been entered in on UDisc because it was.
Okay. All right.
Paul has the course record on New London, but continue.
Okay. All right, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
Right. Assuming that, and also like the drama thing with you guys. So you guys have the whole beef going. Like I like that drama in sports. I think good drama can actually grow like sports if it's good. I know it can be toxic, but so assuming you guys kind of keep that beef going, and let's say you have a really big year, 2023, 2024, you've already got a couple tour wins. Do you think it would be like one of the most epic battles ever in disc golf if like you and Paul were going head to head, kind of like Eagle was with Paul there at the European Open? Would that be like even more epic than that? Going with your history.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe from the fans' perspective, that would be probably something that was fun. I mean, I think disc golf might be a little bit different with the viewers, right? Like again, it's kind of going back. I don't want to get into it, but kind of going back into the whole team aspect and stuff. Very different than other sports. And so this might be kind of one of those things of where like maybe some people don't like to see two people that don't like each other go head to head against each other. But like I personally like I don't personally like seeing like during competition two people being like ultimate like really really nice to each other, of where if someone throws a good shot they high five and there's this back and forth of like it almost feels like I don't know, it almost feels like a little bit too soft for me. And I can see how like some people might be like, oh well, that's a bad take, Brodie. But like when I watch UFC, for example, like it's after the fact. That's how I've always viewed it, is when the, you know, if we're using UFC, when the cage shuts, it's on, and until the final bell, that's where you show respect to the other person. Or in MMA too, they have like kind of sometimes they'll touch gloves in between rounds, right? Like right before the round starts, they'll touch gloves and stuff. But I don't know, like when I played Ultimate, I just was never, you know, if I sky the trash out of someone or if someone lay out D's me or something like that in the middle of a point or in the middle of a game, I'm not really looking to like dap up the other team and be like, oh man, you got me there. Now, if I'm friends with them and we have like a friendly kind of banter, and we see this, you know, all the time in the NFL and stuff like that, where like an ex-teammate will tackle a quarterback and they'll kind of get up and give themselves like a little, you know, whatever, like that's all fine and dandy. But I think there's a level to it of where it almost takes out the competition. And it makes me feel like I'm just like, I don't know, I'm watching something that doesn't really matter. You have two people. It kind of goes back to the caller at the end of the day of where it's like you have two people that like, oh, if I don't win and you win, I'm going to be so happy for you. It's, I don't know. I'm not built that way right now, I guess.
I also have one more question.
Yeah.
With Paul being the course designer for New London, obviously you got the other course there, whatever it's called, Ivy Hills.
Ivy Hills, yep. Hasn't been constructed yet, but yes.
Right. So, do you think people would take away from Paul's win if he won because he's the course designer for the one course?
No. I mean, no. I mean, he did design, like when he was designing that course, that was right around the same time of me joining Foundation. And so I remember going out in the course with him and him kind of like pointing out like, this is where this hole is, at all that. When he was designing the course, it was very obvious that he was designing a course that kind of suited his game. You'll notice if you watch, OB is all down the right-hand side of mostly all the holes. It's a very backhand, straight, mid, fairway kind of course. And then he designed the course that was on his property up there for like a lot of shots and holes that he wasn't very good at, like wasn't his bread and butter. But that, I don't know I think that course might be played by FPO. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, the course is set up very well for him, but there's also a lot of people on tour that have that skill set. You look at someone like a Chris Dickerson, you look at someone like a Corey Ellis, these guys that are just very good back. Calvin's another good example. There's a lot of people that have that skill set. So I think it's still going to be very, very competitive. But if he wins, you can't say, oh, he designed the course specifically for him. He still has to show up and play it. Like he still has to go out there and do the thing. So, yeah.
And then one thing I forgot to mention with
sure.
Your skill set and everything getting better, and you know the epic battle if it were to happen. So I was wondering, you know, if you obviously it's your personal life, but if you were to have like make amends with Paul,
yep.
Like maybe not make it public, so it kind of builds the drama, even if like things are chill again, like still maybe like you know put it out there like that there's still you know something going on, so it like actually hypes it up a little bit more. But that's just kind of that's up to you. But
yeah, I mean I don't think we're inviting you know we're going to be ever inviting each other to our birthday parties, you know. But I'm willing, at least man to man, if you know, I said earlier, if he's willing to make the step to, you know, reach out to me and talk, I'm willing to man, give a handshake, you know, brush it under the rug and say like, let's move on. And I've at least, like, at this point in time, I've at least forgiven him for the crap that we had to go through. But I have no interest in, like, trying to mend that relationship, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
All right. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, brother. All right. Before we get any more callers, I want to run through a couple more things, and then we'll bring some more people on. I just recently went out to Vegas. We kind of had a little work trip out there. Got a chance to play the course. It looks like LVC, which in the past has been 3 courses, it looks like it's going to be 2 courses this year. It looks like they're going to stick with the Innova course. That will be the same, or at least roughly the same. And then it looks like they're doing a combination of the other 2 courses into 1 course. I also saw a couple tee pads get lifted and removed. So when I understand, like, during golf hours, they move pins so that the flow is better and you don't get into the golfer's way. But there's also there's something to be said when a tee pad is just completely gone. Like, that hole is now changing. I saw that a little bit. So we'll see what happens moving forward with that. I thought it was interesting. I got to test out the Venom a little bit more, which, if you tuned into Smashbox, AB was talking about. It is very kind of, in my opinion, it's very similar to what a Nuke OS is going to be doing for me in my bag, but the rim is a little not as wide. So I think to some it's going to feel better in their hand than the Nuke OS, but the Venom coming out at some point. I also was messing around with the ESP Flex, the new plastic that's going to be coming out in 2023. I have an Undertaker that I was messing around with. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that they make it in the Vulture, the ESP Flex and the Vulture. I think that would be an incredible disc, and we'll see. But the Undertaker was working pretty good. I don't personally like the Undertaker as much as the Vulture. I would love to have just all Vultures in my bag instead of adding in another mold, but we'll see what happens. I'm surprised it's taking me this long to get to this, but Simon Lizotte has officially left Discmania. That was a pretty... I wanted to ask him too, like, what was the thought process behind it all? Was there like a plan? Did he have, like, on a schedule, okay, I'm going to post this here, I'm going to make this post here, we're going to do this here? I'm curious as to how well thought out that was, because it was dragged out longer. I wouldn't say too long, but definitely longer than some other people announcements and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. All signs are pointing to MVP. They posted that something big coming tomorrow. It seems like it's pretty obvious that it will be Simon, and so that will be cool. He will also be joining, if he does end up going to MVP, he will also be joining James Conrad, who also signed a 4-year extension with MVP. So it looks like that relationship between MVP and James Conrad is going well. 4-year extension. Congratulations on that. You have Gavin Babcock signing with Discmania. You have Mason Ford signing with Mint, who might win the most original announcement video. If you haven't watched it, give it a watch. Mason's, like, in all cowboy gear, and he, like, comes out of a saloon and has, like, a duel with a basket. It was pretty well done and actually filmed pretty well as well. So it was pretty good production out there. So hats off to him, and congrats on moving over to Mint. Austin Hannum is with DGA. That announcement, I believe, just, like, dropped today. And then you have Maria Oliva signing with Infinite. Those are, for the most part, the player movements that have gone down. I don't think we're really missing too many more. Like, we're not really waiting for too many more people. I think the last person we're really waiting to hear on is Simon of note. There might be some other players as well. And I got a couple more things, and we'll take more calls here. I want to talk about this. I wish I could share my screen so you guys could see this. This was tweeted out by Disc Golf Fanatic. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but I thought this was outrageous. 156. That's the total number of PDGA sanctioned events Michael Haberman, played in 2022. This is the most tournaments in PDGA history that a single player has ever played. So let's just do the math real quick. There's 52 weeks in a year. If you played 3 PDGA sanctioned events a year, that would be 156. The man played he averaged 3 PDGA events a year. Now, I didn't go to see exactly what events we're talking about. My guess is these are probably like one-day events, because if you're playing 3 events in a week, I don't know how you like fit in like a weekend event. So my guess is there's like, he probably like picks up some sort of like Wednesday event and then like a Friday flex or a Saturday flex or a Sunday flex. I don't know. 3 events. That's nuts. So hats off to that guy. I don't know if that will ever be broken. I mean, that is something that you have to, I mean, you can't miss a week. You can't get injured. You can't get sick. Did I not do the math right? 52 weeks? Are there not 52 weeks in a year? Or am I going insane? 52 weeks in a year? 3 events a week? 156 events? There's 54? You guys are tripping. If there's 54 weeks in a year, you are tripping. There's no way. There's 52. I am not getting trolled tonight. My gosh. It is getting late enough to where I could get trolled. I did the math. Oh, I said per year. Sorry, per week. Okay. I said per year, not per week. That is my fault. 52, 3 events per week for 52 weeks. It's incredible. Last thing, and this is maybe something that will strike up some topics. Oh, we got Chili Phil here. Chili, hold on. I want to hear what you have to say, but hold on. Last thing, do contracts in disc golf actually matter? That's kind of an open-ended question. I don't know what's going on. And sorry, let me paraphrase, or let me explain what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about to a fan. Do contracts matter? Like, do people care that Simon's leaving Discmania and going to MVP? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if I take my name and I write on the piece of paper, I am going to be sponsored to Discraft for 2 years. Does that matter? Or can I just like at the end of the season just be like, you know what, Discraft, wasn't happy, deuces, I'm out. I don't know what's going on. I feel like, I don't know if this is getting talked about enough, but this happens a lot in disc golf. And I'll be blunt, because why not? I think it's pretty crappy on the players to do it. I think it's a pretty crappy thing on the players to do it, especially if you're under the impression of like, oh, they're not going to sue me. Like they're not going to do that. I just think that's pretty crappy. If you sign a contract for a certain amount of time, there are certain things in that contract that must be met. If those things aren't met in the contract and they breach their contract, then there should be also writing in the contract that says, if you breach the contract, I can go. I can leave. But if there's no breaching in the contract, what are we doing here? And like, this is where I just I feel bad a little bit for some of the manufacturers out there, because it is, they are in a terrible spot. If imagine like who are the fans going to side with? If someone left a contract early and then that manufacturer is basically like, you can't leave early, we're suing you. What the heck? If that happened, I feel like most fans are going to side with the player and be like, this isn't cool. Like the manufacturers have so much money. They're suing this player. They don't have any money. That's not fair. That's all I'm saying. Again, I don't know what a lot of wording and stuff are said in these contracts, but if it is happening to where players are simply just saying, I'm bored, I'm tired, I don't want to be in this contract anymore, and there hasn't been anything that has been breached by the company, and they are just leaving and saying like, you can't do anything about it, I think that's messed up. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll get a little bit. I don't know. I've heard things. And I'm just throwing it out there. If you sign something and they're holding up their end of the deal, you should hold up your end of the deal as well. I'll leave it at that. Let's take some calls. Chili Phil. What up, brother?
What up? All right. I had two things. So the first thing is that the Michael Haberman, he actually played like a lot of B tiers and like even A tiers too. Like he traveled a lot. He went overseas to Europe, played some tournaments out there. Yeah. Yes.
What?
The thing is, he would. So we have like in Dallas have that Tuesday Am Slam that you can play. So he played that every single week basically.
Okay.
And then he would play the ED Friday Flex Start.
Okay.
And then he would play like his weekend tournament, and he did that almost every single weekend. And then if there wasn't a weekend tournament, then he played flex starts. I've seen this dude play like a B tier in the morning, like a one round, and then go play like a flex star later that afternoon.
This guy's a monster. I need to meet. Is this guy in Dallas?
In Dallas, yeah, he is.
All right, Phil, you got to hook me up. We got to play with this guy. I have so many questions.
Yeah, I'll let him know you want to play.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but yeah, he went overseas to Europe and played like for a week and a half out there, something like that. Played to a tournament.
Golly,
he's just a monster. He drove almost everywhere. He's crazy.
That's awesome.
But then the second thing was that on like the contract side, I feel like one is on the manufacturers to like make sure that the wording in their contract is enough to where like players can't just leave.
Yes.
Like, I feel like
I agree.
If it's that weak to where like the players can just kind of leave and they can't do anything about it, then one, that's on them, and like I really don't have any like remorse or like any pity for them. But then two, like if the wording's there and like the players can't leave and they're worried about like that loss of like income, then they can. I don't think there's anything wrong with suing them. As like a fan, if my player was under contract, or if like I saw a player under contract and then he leaves, like I'm not gonna get mad at the manufacturer for trying to cope some of that money back. Like that's an investment that they made into that player, and now they're not holding up their end of the bargain. At least, like in my perspective, I'm never gonna get mad at the manufacturer for that.
Yeah, no, I think you make a really good point in the wording of the contract, and if they don't have language in there that states that you're signing this 3-year, 4-year deal. If they don't have wording in there that states like specifically like you have to uphold this, and if you don't, this will happen, then you're right. Like it's kind of on them for messing that up. And if the player's just like, I've got a better offer, I'm out. It's kind of, and I think this is where it's a learning process, right? Like, and this is too where. If you treat some of these, interactions and sponsorships and stuff where it's like, oh, these people are never going to screw me over. Like they're my friends. Like you get burned a couple times and then you start realizing like, I need to turn the stove off. Like this thing is burning the crap out of me. So I think it is a learning process where companies are going to probably get a little bit smarter, maybe hire some lawyers or something when it comes to, these contracts and have stuff in there that protect them a little bit. Because again, when money gets thrown around too now, like it is being thrown around, like you want to protect yourself to where if you sign someone for a 3-year deal and in their first year they blow up and they do incredible, and now all of a sudden like they're like, well, this company over here has offered me 3 times what you guys are paying me the next 2 years. It's like, sorry, bro. Like you signed a 3-year deal. Like that's it. That's just what it is. So yeah, no, I agree with you. Good points. Are we playing tomorrow?
Yeah, in the afternoon.
Okay. See you tomorrow. All right. I'm gonna add all these people and we'll bring them in one at a time. Let's see what we got. We got some people. Like I said, if you guys are listening, we got 1,000 people over here on YouTube Live. Incredible. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Debate Night. If you want to join the conversation, go over to the Twitter Spaces. It's pinned as the top comment in the live chat. And that is how these debate nights go. And if you're listening to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, make sure you join live. It's a fun time. All right. Who we got? Jordan? Let's hit Jordan first.
Yo, what's up, Brodie?
Dude, what you got going on in your avatar? Did you make that?
Yeah, just with my digital art.
Oh, that's sick. What the heck?
Well, dude, I saw you tweet the other day. Maybe it was you. Pretty sure that you want to do some commentary. Just wanted to say, like, I think that'd be a great step for disc golf because, I like hearing Big Jerm and Yuli and some of the other guys, but hearing you on there would be amazing. I think something they should do is, rotate players in week in, week out, week in and week out on Joe Maz maybe, and just have like different commentary. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, with Joe Maz, I don't see that really probably happening because they kind of have their own thing going, right? And they're paying those people. I wouldn't be surprised if like Yuli, Big Jerm, and Sexton all like were like not contract, but like actual like employees at this point of where they're not paying them like as like an individual contractor each time they do it. That was just more geared towards, I'm always interested in trying new things and just seeing how it would go and if I would actually enjoy it. And it's one of those things too, like I could very well be an absolute terrible person on the mic during commentary. And if that's the case, then it's like, woo, okay, glad we tested that out. That is not good. But if it turns out that people enjoy it, then that could be something too that, down the road could be something I could pursue. And, I do
like making your own production company or just
No. I'm saying down the road, getting a little bit more involved, maybe in some of the commentary side of things. I don't know if that's really going to happen because I could see once I hang it up and retire, I'll probably be joining a lot. We'll probably be doing a lot more like live streams of like these, simulcasts, if you will, with Foundation, right? Of where you can like come and hang out with us while we watch the stream. But yeah, no, I think that the thing that I'd be interested in is because I'm so new to disc golf compared to the majority of people doing the commentary on disc golf, I feel like maybe there might be some things that I see that maybe the veteran disc golfer doesn't even see that as like interesting or new because they've seen it so many times. So there could be something that I could add, but like I said, there could be a very good chance that I'm absolute trash. And if that's the case, I'm completely fine with that.
Fair enough. Kind of like going off that, I guess like experience is the only teacher, but like you feel like your understanding of disc golf is way less than someone that's played a while. I feel like frisbee in general, like I played ultimate and throwing the frisbee and shit. I feel like it's similar, like the physics of it. Like you doing that for so long, I don't think that really lessens your the value and like the understanding you have of how disc fly or how the game is played.
Yeah, no, I've studied the game quite a bit. Obviously, I've thrown myself into it the last 3 years, so I've studied it quite a bit to where I feel like I have a good grasp on it. But if I was, let's just say, I was doing commentary and Sexton was on there as well, if Sexton started talking about something, or if I started saying something and he cuts me off and says, well, actually this, and this, like I'm going to always like let him take the lead on that, right? Like he's been around longer than me, has seen more than me. There's going to be probably a lot of things that he sees a certain way that I'm like, oh, wow, I never thought of it like that. So I think there might be some areas that I could add to commentary. But ultimately, too, I think it just would be fun to get thrown into that and just see how I do,
Yeah, fair enough. Something I wanted to also ask you is, like, I guess going off that is, like, what do you see? First of all, what is your goals for this year? Like, realistic goals? I mean, you could say I want to win every tournament, world championship, but that's not realistic. And also, like, what do you see like your role in disc golf moving forward? Maybe after you're done, or even while you're in a competitive, state the next few years.
Yeah, so my goals, that's something that I always share at the end of the season. I kind of keep those close to my chest, and then I'll share those kind of at the end. As far as what are my ideas, once I hang it up and finish, Foundation is something that I've spent a decent amount of my time trying to help build, right? And I think as soon as I retire and hang it up, that will be my main focus. I also am an owner of Atlas as well, which we have been working on some bags that I can't wait to have come out in 2023. So there's a lot of stuff over on that side of thing, on that side that I'm interested in continuing and doing more. And then as far as the pro side of things, like if there is a home for me to still be involved in some way, I would love to, but I'm not necessarily going to force myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's all I really got. Just wanted to shoot you some of those questions, and I appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. All right, who's next? What we got?
Yo. So I want to talk to you about contracts a little bit.
Yeah.
So first off, I think Chili was really spot on. And the one thing I'll add to it is I think that going forward, this probably won't happen anymore because I think that contracts are now too big. I imagine now there probably are buyout clauses or something to that effect. And so your point about do contracts even matter? I think they do now. I think in the past, a lot of contracts were very informal and probably not very well constructed because the sport was so young and because there wasn't so much money involved. But I do think that going forward, this problem that you're referring to is going to be non-existent because contracts are going to be more airtight. We already see more representation and agents and lawyers getting involved in the space. And so I just think it's going to become a non-issue. Is kind of just like my take on that. To what Chili was saying.
Yeah, I remember the contract that we signed for the Amazing Race show. I wanted to say it was like 30 some pages, and I guess that just kind of shows you the difference of some people still that are professional disc golfers have 1-page contracts.
Yeah.
So there's a massive, and again, a lot of it is just lawyer talk. There's a lot of it just lawyer talk, right? There's a lot of, that's why you pay to have a lawyer to make sure that they cover all your bases on both sides, right? On the manufacturer side and on the player side as well.
Right. So I did want to maybe debate here a little bit, actually. Let's actually have a little debate here.
Yeah.
Possibly. So last debate night, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so please correct me if I'm saying this wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to misrepresent you. But you seem to have the opinion that publicly stated contracts were not beneficial or not a good idea. So first, let you kind of clarify your stance on that.
I initially, when I first got in, and again, it's like anything, right? Like you can say like, oh, I was wrong. That was bad. That was stupid. I think that's how I feel on the contracts. I think when I initially got in, I was like, oh yeah, like everyone should be announcing what their contract is. I think that would be best for everyone. But I'm now kind of against that almost and thinking like, I don't know if that's actually beneficial to players. I think there are too many moving parts really when it comes to disc golf with the landscape that disc golf is currently there. And also there's also this thing of where I've talked about it a little bit of where, if someone is with a company for X amount of years and then they move to another company, the value that they are with that company, might be way higher than the value of the company re-signing them again, right? So I don't know. I've gone back and forth on it. I definitely would be open to hearing the opinion of why you think either the manufacturer coming out and saying what the contract is or the player coming out and saying what the contract is, why you think that's beneficial.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. I don't think it's beneficial to the manufacturer. If anything, it costs the manufacturer more money in the long run to announce contracts because it sets a new bar and a new expectation. So I can understand why a manufacturer would want to keep that under lock and key just to kind of protect themselves and their budget.
However, to give you an argument as to why I believe publicly stated contracts are beneficial, I think it's on multiple fronts. First off, I think it allows players to somewhat understand their value and what market value is. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're a top 25, top 30 player, and you hear that Paul Beth is getting $1 million a year, obviously you can't have that expectation yourself. But maybe if you can find someone a little bit closer to you on the totem pole that has a similar social media presence or a similar performance, you can start to get a better idea of what your market value is, because otherwise you don't have an idea and you go into negotiations at an extreme disadvantage. Now, I do think that problem starting to solve itself with the increase in agents and sports management starting to come into disc golf. But in the past, that wasn't there. And so I do think that being able to have public information available would have helped players a lot who don't have agents or before agents became a regular thing. Now, outside of players, I think that the other big reasons why publicly stated contracts are important is, one, I think it helps legitimize the sport. I think it brings more exposure to the sport, because more news articles and more discussion is going to take place when big numbers are getting thrown around. It puts more of a spotlight on the sport. So that's exposure and legitimacy that gets added to it. And on top of that, I think it also could attract more sponsorship and advertising opportunities if big companies, which is what we're chasing after, right, Brodie? We're chasing after non-endemics. We have so many endemic sponsors in disc golf. We don't have non-endemics. And I know you know business better than me, and so you can tell me that I'm ignorant here. But I do think that big numbers coming out surely have to say that, hey, there's actually a lot of money in this industry. Maybe there's a lot of money to be made in this industry, and that can help attract non-endemic sponsors more, in my opinion.
Okay, question, because you make good points. My question to this would be, say I'm a player that gets a lot of fan support because it's, I don't want to say charity, because that's not the right word I'm looking for, but fan support because the fans are like, I need to support this person for them to tour, right? There are players out there like that, correct?
Sure.
If that person came out and said, I'm making $100,000, does that hurt those people that were like, do some people go, oh, wow, they're making they don't need me to buy this disc. I don't need to buy their Tour Series disc. They're doing fine. They're making $100,000.
I don't necessarily think that is the case, because I do think that fans are still going to want to support their people no matter what.
I'm not talking about like their top players that they really love. I'm talking about kind of more people that, more middle of the pack road,
So give me an example of a player that, give me a middle of the pack player.
I don't know, just take anyone from 30th in the world to 50th in the world.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Let's say it's a top 30 player, and we found that now that top 30 player is paying.
All right, wait. I gotta read this comment real quick. This is from this guy goes, I was buying Zach Melton disc for a while. If he came out balling in a fur coat saying he makes six figures, I would be bummed. I think there are people like that, though. I'm not saying it's the mass majority of people, but I'm saying, like, I think there might be some people out there that they can look at, okay, this player is only making $15,000, $20,000 on tour, like tour winnings, and they have a sponsorship. I'm going to help support them and buy their disc, right? Like, I think there are some people out there that do that to certain players, of where, let's say they have like 5 people that they really like. Well, out of those 5, there's probably like 3 of them or 2 of them that they really, really like, and the other ones they kind of like. If all 5 came out saying, like, we're making millions of dollars this year, they probably are going to not buy the disc from the lower people. That would be my only point of, like, it's tough to have, and we see it from some players, right? We see it from some people of kind of like, hey, help me out. help keep me on tour. Like we see it from some people. If they came out that those people were making hundreds of thousands of dollars, like that kind of way of getting people to buy your stuff kind of goes out the door.
I don't necessarily agree with that, to be perfectly honest with you, because I see, and this is getting away from disc golf a little bit, but I see, when it comes to situations like even really big YouTubers or big Twitch streamers, that people know that those people have tons of subscribers. And
but they're also,
but they're still getting donations and subscribers, even though they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah, but they're also, the thing is they're making content though. They're producing, they're giving you free content versus asking you to buy a product. That's why I think there's a big difference. Because if I'm going to buy a Buzz, right? If I'm going to buy a Buzz, and I ultimately I could just buy a stock Buzz, right? I could just go and buy a stock Buzz. But I might buy a player's Buzz instead. That's a little bit more expensive because I'm like, you know what? I want to help support that person.
I think people are still willing to help support people even if they know that they're already making money. So I'll pick an example. What about Tristan Tanner? So he's probably like in the top.
Someone did mention his name as someone that they would be bummed about if he came out saying they made a lot of money. He was in the comments. I did see it.
Yeah, but I think someone like Tristan Tanner, because he puts himself out there, because he does put out stuff on social media or used to on a regular basis, does put out content. I do think people would still be willing to support him and buy his disc.
I agree.
He can make as much money. Same with, I mean, and I know that's unfair because, like, there's obviously, what about the big names that already, have millions and millions of dollars? People still want to buy their stuff because they want to support them. Like, I mean, that happens all the time.
No, I think, I guess my question is, you say it's going to help the player. Like it would help players if everyone kind of announced how much money they're making. My question though would be, I would assume a player that came out that people thought didn't make that much money, that came out and all of a sudden I signed this huge contract. I would assume, yes, they're going to still have some people support them and still like them. But I would assume they're not going to have more people all of a sudden being like, oh, well, I want to buy. I would assume they would have less. That would be my assumption. I'm not saying everyone would just banish them and be like, well, screw this guy. This guy's got plenty of money. He doesn't need my support. I also don't think people that weren't supporting him would all of a sudden just start coming in and supporting him because he's making a lot of money. I could just see some people being like, oh, well, I'm going to go support someone that actually needs me to support them. That's kind of my only argument. And it might be a really small number. It could be a really small number.
I think it would really depend on the player and the personality and charisma of the player. Because
for sure. It's player by player basis.
For example, Matty O doesn't really do anything on social media. He doesn't really put out any content. The guy is just a stud player with a crazy personality, and people love him because of the personality that he has. And I don't think that people would stop supporting him just because they knew that he was making a lot of money with less side. So I think it depends a lot on the player and their personality and how they present themselves.
I agree.
Build a fandom around themselves.
No, I agree. I agree. I don't think people would necessarily just bail and be like, oh, they're making a lot of money, I'm out of here. My thing is just like, I don't see how it'd be beneficial. That's my question is I'm still curious as how it would be beneficial why it would be beneficial for a player to come out and say how much they're making.
Like it kind of just comes down to my things that I think is beneficial for the things I already kind of stated, just understanding market value better, bringing more exposure to the sport, bringing more legitimacy to the sport, and attracting more non-endemic sponsors. I think that it's
certain levels
as a whole than the industry, than the individual player.
Yeah, certain levels. I don't think someone coming out and saying I'm making $20,000 this year is going to do anything.
Sure.
If anything, it's just going to maybe cause more chaos with some people being like, well, I'm better than that person. Why are they getting 20,000? I'm not. I agree, though, that I am all for with there being more competition in between the manufacturers. I think that is good, right? Like, I don't think it's a good thing that certain people are getting, quote, I guess, like screwed, getting paid way less than they actually deserve. But then the other thing, though, you have to think is if it starts going this way, right? if it starts going like this way of where like people are knowing how much everyone's making, I actually have lived off of less than 20,000 a year. By the way, I was a teacher for like the first year getting out of school. You don't make anything as a teacher. My point was like, if everyone starts realizing like, oh wait, like let's just say the bare minimum was like $40,000, right?
Mhm.
Don't you think now like that's going to cut off a lot of people? Because now if manufacturers are having to pay everyone this bare minimum of $40,000, they're not going to be able to sponsor as many people as they were in the past. Because maybe that one person that, yeah, maybe they should have been paying them 60, but they are getting them for 40, which allowed them to get this other player for 20. But now they have to get that player for 60. That player for 20 is gone. So there's also that kind of side of where you might see a lot less sponsored players. Teams getting smaller.
That's very true.
Which also might not be a bad thing. Who knows?
No, I get your point. I do think that as the tour becomes more prestigious and as tour cards become more important and as spaces become more limited to top-ranked players, that's naturally going to happen anyway, as far as like sponsorship or level of sponsorship. And that's why there is this separation of like different teams, so to speak, within a manufacturer.
Yeah. All right, Dusty, as always.
I don't take up too much more of your time.
Always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure. We'll bring someone else on here. I think I actually made more. I want to say maybe 35,000 was what I made as a teacher. I want to say might have been my salary. I definitely made less than 20,000 though when I was a camp counselor. That's for sure. But I want to say maybe my teacher salary was like 35K. That seems about right. In 2000, what was that? 2010. I'm old too. You got to remember that. I saw people at Chipotle. They're making minimum wage was like or not. I don't know if that's minimum wage, but $13.50. I think is that what minimum wage is now? Some $13.50 to work at Chipotle. We just went to Chipotle tonight, and I saw hiring $13.50, and it looked like it was like the basic job at $13.50. And I want to say when I was a YMCA camp counselor, I want to say I was making $7.25 an hour. I want to say. All right.
Hey,
sorry. Yeah. Let's get me off of talking about. Yeah. Let's go. Another topic. Let's go.
You're good.
Let's not talk about finances with Brodie here.
You're definitely not wrong, though. My first job I started, I live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It was minimum wage, and it was $7.75. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of jobs. I was a dishwasher for a while. That job sucked. Let me tell you right now, that is one of the worst minimum wage jobs because the place that I was working at, you would just have line chefs basically come off like during busy hours. They would just come off, and you're over dealing with like the silverware and stuff and plates where you like put into the machine and it washes and then it comes out. All the pots and pans go into these other big bins and sinks. And so your back would be turned and you'd be over here like loading all the plates and silverware. And one of the line chefs would fly in with a pot that they just pulled right off of making, some lobster tail or something. And they drop it in your soapy water. And so then you come back to start, picking up the pans that you left off. And the first pan you grab is the one that they just pulled right off the thing. And oh gosh, that was a brutal job. Brutal. Also, I don't know why we're getting into like what did Brodie do for work, but I also did golf course maintenance, and that drastically made me, because I actually ended up, I don't even know if people know this, but I ended up doing it. Gosh, I withdrew. Yeah, that's what I did. I withdrew from the University of Florida. So I basically was like, I don't know if I want to do college. Withdrew, went home. Living at home with my mom. She's like, you're not just going to be sleeping on the couch all day doing whatever you want. If you're going to be home, you got to get a job. Well, what the heck am I supposed to do? I don't have any skills or talents. Like I don't have anything. So I was like, I love golf. I'll do golf course maintenance. Got hooked up there. That was yikes, that was brutal of a job. I'll tell you that right there. Waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, cutting grass, doing sod, that made me real quick be like, I need to go back to college and get a degree real quick. Sorry. All right, Landon, what do you got? Sorry, go for it.
And that was super fun. So I guess kind of the main question I have is, what's your? And you might have touched on this a little bit in one of the other Foundation podcasts, but
yeah,
what are your opinions on like professional players like Chris Clemens and Jordan Castro, like over Twitter and stuff, kind of played into the leagues?
Yeah, it's kind of wild, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really quite sure. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's more what do like their sponsors and stuff think about it, right? If the sponsors don't care, then do whatever. Like I have a great relationship with Discraft where they allow me to come on here and they're not like, you need to push Discraft, you need to sell Discraft. I don't want you talking about anyone that's not sponsored by Discraft. Don't talk. Like I can just run my show and talk whatever I want, and I love that. I don't think it would work if I was like locked in like that. So I don't know if they have like free reign and their sponsors are like, yeah, if you want to like leak information about players coming to our company and stuff, like go for it. I'm not really quite sure. I mean, the times I spent with Chris and Jordan, super stand-up guys. So the only thing I can think of is like there is probably like, I don't know. I can't think that that's actually a problem, but you know, them jumping in on it and messing around. I mean, I think that got a lot of people hyped up a little bit.
Yeah, I think too. Just as like contracts keep getting more open, and as the disc golf scene gets bigger, I think it's interesting because last year with Ricky's contract getting leaked, and this year with Simon.
Well, players need to stop freaking telling people. Like that's. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a reason why one of the closest guys on tour with me had thought I was going to MVP.
Yeah.
Like if anyone knew I was going to be re-signing with Discraft, it would be Ezra. And he thought I was going to a different company. It's very simple. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. I know, like, for sure, too, one of the biggest surprises, I thought for sure, like, I thought I knew I was dead set. AB was going to Infinite,
Yep.
Close with Drew. Like,
yep.
It made sense. And then I found out yesterday y'all released a video with Discraft, and then he signed with Discraft. And that was a big shock to me, as well as like Colin Hanley too. I had no clue where she was going. So I think it's interesting, like, when like how Hunter was talking about the first like leak about Simon he saw on Twitter was just this like completely random guy. I think it's interesting, like the kind of random people play into it and kind of stir up some drama.
Yeah.
I think when like the higher names get into it, I think it creates more drama, but also it kind of takes some of the like surprise out of seeing contracts being signed.
I mean, it's one of those things too. Again, it's this family aspect that disc golf has, of where all it takes is a couple people getting fired from their jobs because they told the wrong people information that should not have been leaked out, right? And then once that happens, like you set a precedent of like, oh, you can't do that. Like if I'm working at a company and I see all of a sudden that we're starting to make a disc for someone that isn't sponsored by us, you would think that I would be under wraps to like not go and tell my buddies that I play disc golf with, like, you guys have no idea. I was just making discs for Ricky Wysocki today. Like he's on Innova.
Yeah.
Like why is Dynamic making Ricky Wysocki discs? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There is some of that of where friends know friends, or the information is getting leaked. And again, is it happening because companies want to create buzz? If that's the case, then that's brilliant and that's smart. If that's what they think is best for them, awesome. But if they want to have like their big moment of like surprising everyone and it gets leaked that way, then that's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
All right.
One more thing too.
Yeah.
I touch quick. I think, obviously not to go too far and do it again, but I think what you were talking about earlier with the team sport aspect, I'm sure not a lot of people keep up with it, but another sport, like if you look at Supercross and motocross,
yep.
Like there's different, manufacturers for the dirt bikes. And yes, there's like quote unquote teams, but like, I mean, you even see feuds between like some of the guys that are in the same classes on the same team, like going neck and neck. And that's a contact sport. Like disc golf's obviously, you kind of just stay in your own lane. But that's like, you can see teammates getting aggressive with each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, you're on the same team, but kind of like what you said, like, you're not necessarily like rooting for someone on Discraft to do bad, but like at the end of the day, like you're getting paid to go do your job. You're not getting paid to like go encourage someone else. And
Correct.
Also, I think a lot of people underestimate too, like, how you're kind of talking about the whole Paul situation. Like, I mean, I think you honestly, like, respectfully handled it like pretty professionally. I mean, that was some pretty big news. I feel like to most people, considering like, watching all the videos with y'all building the bag. And obviously, not very many people know like the super intricate details.
Yep.
But like, if you and Paul, like, if y'all don't want to have a relationship, like that's between you two. And yeah, I kind of get with what you're saying, like about maybe like, at the house things being a little bit awkward, but like, I definitely agree with you with the aspect of like, that's between you and Paul. Like, that's not really like something that's super mandatory in the whole like idea of a team. Because at the end of the day, like you're getting paid to do your job.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking my call.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. All right. Who else we got in here? Who wants to chat?
Can you hear me, Brodie?
Yeah. Go for it. What's up, brother?
All right. Hopefully, I have a brand new topic for you. I did tweet at Hunter when he asked for debate night ideas, but in terms of growing the sport, I'm surprised no one has reached out to try and do a collab with Dude Perfect yet, because they have the younger generations in the palm of their hands in terms of YouTube videos.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
They make a lot of money.
So is that like
They make a lot. They make a lot.
A collab fee, like
they don't.
like,
I mean,
how does that work?
it's a collab fee that doesn't exist in anyone's budget in disc golf.
Disc golf is just too small to have to go down that path.
What's that?
Disc golf is just too small still to go down that path.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot to see. Like, they're building a $150 million amusement park, right?
Yeah, that I saw. But I mean,
if
that's the case, that sucks because I can just see it as a win-win for both parties.
So that's.
I'll make a video.
I'm not gonna give.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna give numbers out, but I'll do like I'll compare them to me, okay? But you're gonna multiply my situation, let's say, by like 10,000. So like if someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to do a YouTube video with our product, we'll give you $100." I'm gonna say politely, "Sorry, I'm not gonna do that."
Okay.
That's the same kind of situation, right? Now I have a good relationship with some of the guys on Dude Perfect. I've obviously done a couple videos with them. They're dope dudes. If it happens naturally of where they want to go and do, play disc golf with me and I can film it and put it on my channel, that would be dope. I would love that. I think there's a good possibility of that happening in the next month or so. If you're asking, okay, well, we want Dude Perfect to make a disc golf video, that's a much harder ask.
Yeah, I was just looking at it because all their videos get millions and millions of views.
If
somehow like some company could do like a Dude Perfect themed like starter pack, that would sell out incredibly fast.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
Because, kids just want the Dude Perfect merch, no matter really what.
But you have to also think about it on their side too. When you're someone like as big as Dude Perfect, you have to think of how many people are pitching them ideas all the time, right? So they have to pick and choose what they want to do. Our best bet is if they want to run back another trick shot battle. And instead of me using Frisbees, I'm using discs. That's honestly our best bet of getting disc golf on their channel.
All right. Well, thanks for your insight.
I got to get better at disc golf, though. That's the thing. I got to get better at disc golf or it's not going to work.
All right. Thanks, Brodie.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling in. All right. Let's finish it off. We got a couple more people on here. Who's next?
Hey, Brodie, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, brother?
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is I just want to know your stance. I know you and Ezra talked about this on your YouTube channel, but Nebula versus Buzz, where do you stand?
Nebula is a little bit smaller, like rim size. So if you like that feeling of a little bit smaller disc, Nebula is your play. If you don't, Buzz.
All right. And kind of transitioning into Tour Series, what are your thoughts on the stereotypical Tour Series, like how Discraft and Innovac does it, where they have a wave release of discs per year as opposed to something like Discmanias, where they come out with like creator series discs over time, like how we have 4 iterations of the Sky God for Simon and the Cloud Breakers and the Lone Apples.
Oh, yeah, I haven't really given that much thought. Sorry. I don't know what. Yeah. No, I have no idea. I think different manufacturers do it differently. Discmania might have to do it that way because they don't in the past they didn't like actually make their own discs, right? So they were kind of at the mercy of Innova. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I don't have really any intel on that topic.
All right. So do you mind if I ask you a different question in relation to Tour Series discs?
Yeah, go for it.
Are they have I don't want you to release your disc yet because I don't want anything to happen, but
sure.
Have the discs already been decided and are they already in production?
I don't know about if they're already in production. I know a handful of players have already been decided. I believe there are still some players that are still making decisions.
Awesome.
Last I heard.
All right. Thanks for allowing me to take the call. Hope you decide to go to Sky Streak for your disc.
Oh, yeah, Sky Streak. Heck yeah.
And hopefully I'll see you at the Pro Tour Championship.
Oh, heck yeah. I hope to make it back there again, dude. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for calling in. All right. We got a couple more people. Who wants to finish it off here? We got 3 more people in here.
I'll go. Hey, what's up, Brodie?
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up? I want to give a shout out because when I moved, you moved to a city where I used to play a lot of disc golf. Shout out to North Texas and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah. And so I was really ingrained because that's where I learned how to play disc golf was probably at Veterans Park, you know.
Yep.
And then I got with the community, and it was for like a long time before I got into organized disc golf, you know. And there's like a big leap, I think, between like the discovery and onboarding to what people would say in parentheses, the sport of disc golf, versus like the organized part, which a lot of people would say, hey, we need to push a product, right? But there's a lot of IP and branding that a lot of players are like missing out on that I know that like it's it could be benefited, right? You know, and I think that's why like one awesome point that you did was for you bring up like the driving range incidents with the championship or the USGC. I'm not sure which one.
Oh, you're talking about the world's one?
Yeah, the world's one. Right?
Yep.
Like you're talking about like raising standards and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having these different standards does cost money. It's like any resourcing and stuff.
Yep.
And so I was wondering, like, would any type of different types of leadership, right, could able to free up the players so they don't have to, like you're saying, sell a product. They can actually just go and be better at the sport, and they can actually help onboard maybe more by just being more with the sport as opposed to trying to struggle with the touring aspect of it, right? Like the production end of it, you know? Which I know, like disc golf is at its infancy at the moment.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
It is all goes down to eyeballs. You know, you got to get more eyeballs watching disc golf. You got to get more people playing disc golf to then convert those people into people that watch disc golf, to where then you can have outside money from companies that aren't involved in disc golf directly, paying to get those eyeballs of people watching the disc golf tournaments, which will then boost up the tournament purses. And now players can go out there and say, hey, if I have a couple top 10s, if I have a couple good finishes this year, I can make a decent amount of money. And that will take away a lot of people stressing over trying to sell their discs, right?
So you were saying eyeballs, right? So would it be eyeballs on the product, eyeballs on the organization, or eyeballs on like the talent itself?
I think it'd be eyeballs on the actual the actual stream of the tournament. If we can get 100,000 people,
right? Like the event itself.
Yeah, if we can get 100,000 people to tune in to watch disc golf live, that's a number that you can go and take to other companies and say, we have 100,000 concurrent people watching this. Do you want to put any advertising behind it?
So like some metrics technically.
Correct.
With some broadcasting.
Yeah, because there's certain numbers that people are not even going to respond to your email. So you got to give them a number that they're like, holy smokes, I had no idea. We need to pay attention to that. So.
Hell yeah. And then I think on what I want to end it off on, right? And I know a lot of people would just say like, would other forms of entertainment revenue, like tokens, etc., right? It doesn't matter if it was on a blockchain or if it was.
I'm just going to cut you off. I know nothing about any of that.
Well, one of the things is that I was thinking that when we're talking about funding and getting eyes on things, right? So, Brodie, you have a project and you technically don't have, you have your own IP, right? So those IPs can technically turn into these different types of contracts. You were saying like if a player wants fans to support them and stuff, right? And it got me to really think about like, hey, if a player were to put out a contract and they were to get like a sponsorship from the blockchain, right? Like how would that be sustainable towards the whole organization?
Whatever you're talking about, you're way too smart for me. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, we can chat later, man.
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Shoot me.
But yeah, I just like to bring some stuff.
Yeah, tweet. I have no idea about the blockchain. So if you want to tweet me some stuff to kind of give me some info about what the heck the blockchain is, I would love to read up on it. It's 12 o'clock at night. This is not the time for me to learn about blockchains. So.
Oh no, you're talking about funding and stuff, and I hope that would be an option and solution in the future. Thank you for me having it on the stage.
Of course, bro. Yeah, hit me up. Let me know what the heck a blockchain is, because I've actually heard it multiple times. I have no idea what it is. All right.
Hey, Brodie, I know it's 12 o'clock. I'll give you a couple questions to wrap this up real quick.
Okay.
I promise you, I am just as dumb as you. Zero blockchain questions.
I'm not a blockchain guy.
All right, so I'm a part of my take guy. That's where I got introduced to you, and I thought you were a super cool dude. I'm a golfer. I'm 37 years old. I'm a guy when you started playing golf, it wasn't a cool sport. And I think disc golf has some parallels to where, like, you're trying to drum up. It's almost like a golf or a bowling, to where I think people like the idea of it, but it's going to take a little while to build some stuff up, right? So my question to you is, I have a couple of things, right? Live Golf has taken over the PGA Tour with influence.
Yep.
Darts is wildly popular in European countries, not so much in the States. Where do you think disc golf kind of lines up with like a sport like darts that's popular in other parts of the world, or a Live Golf just takes the right people with the right purse to kind of come in there and change the game up? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Live Golf is a little bit of a different animal because when you have something that has an insane amount of funding, it's, when you can just throw, those guys are overpaid. So when you can just throw money around like that, you can have an immediate impact in anywhere you go. The darts thing is a little bit more interesting to me because, it's obviously electric. There's that video that went viral recently, right?
Electric.
And I've watched my fair share of darts on TV before, and for such a simplistic sport, the fact that they literally have a zoomed in camera to a 2x2 or 2x3 triple 20, and like people are just on pins and needles looking at that thing. It's insane. Now, to me, it seems like I don't think darts would be as successful if you took them out of that atmosphere, right? Most of those tournaments are in like these big bars. Everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time. Could darts do the same numbers and the same excitement if you put it in the atmosphere like a cornhole, where it's like in an arena? I don't know, but
Well, I'm pretty sure. I'm sorry I didn't cut you off, but I'm pretty sure it was, because I'm pretty sure some of the Barstool guys, like Hank and those guys, I think Madison Square Garden like sold out like a fucking 3-day dart tournament there.
Really?
And that's why I bring it up, because like disc golf to me is one of those things like darts. When you watch it, you're like, oh, I can do that. That's super easy.
Yep.
And then you get out there and you're like, I can't do any of this stuff. And like guys like you, I mean, I don't. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm like a 5-year-old when it comes to this stuff. But what I've heard about you is you are one of the guys, right? So it's like, if you are Tiger Woods 27 years ago, you're not, or Jack Nicklaus years, you're not Tiger Woods, you know? So like, part of me wonders, like, if a guy like you kind of like knocks the doors down to like the next generation, all of a sudden they can sell out of Madison Square Garden, things like that. That's why I asked you if you guys in your sport see any comparisons to, you know, soccer's the biggest sport in the world. We just don't give a fuck about it in the United States.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's some comparisons. Like you mentioned Dude Perfect earlier, paying for guys, doing different things. And that's where the Live Golf comparison came from me. Almost to like they are the deep pockets, and they can kind of, you know, pillage a little bit as far as what they pick and choose to do. That's where that came from, because you are an athlete, you are a professional athlete, you are wildly talented, and I think what's hard for some people to kind of wrap their heads around is you're a super normal dude, you know. So I just wonder, that's where the comparisons come from, and I wonder if you see down the road in 5-10 years, is this disc golf a sport to where you see it being, you know, surpassing, say, like a lacrosse in the United States? Like, does it get further along than that?
I think there's a lot of obviously advantages that disc golf has, where it's a very obviously it's an individual sport to where you can just go out and play it. You can buy all sorts of different types of discs. You can play it in all different kind of areas, whether it's on a golf course or in the woods. Where lacrosse, the trouble that lacrosse has is super expensive. You got to buy a lot of equipment. You need a lot of people to play the sport. There's obviously a lot of advantages and disadvantages. But you look at a sport like football, one of the most popular sport in America, and it's the same thing. Expensive. Got to pay for pads, cleats. There's a lot, helmets. There's a lot of things you have to go into, and then you have to have a team. So I don't think that I don't think that just makes it the fact that it's very accessible and easy to start. I don't think that solves all the problems. I think it is a sport that has potential of a lot of growth for sure, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to make disc golf bigger than lacrosse. I don't know what's going to make disc golf fall off the planet and no one cares about it. I'm not entirely sure. It's weird. I think a lot of times like just stuff happens. Players get into sports and make it bigger. I mean, golf wasn't really that big until Tiger got into it. He brought a whole new generation to pay attention to it. You know, I don't know.
See Conor McGregor, like there's things like
Yep.
that.
Conor McGregor came at the perfect time with the UFC that just blew that all up. Yeah, I'm not really entirely sure like what happens. It can be very similar to YouTube. You know, there's a lot of luck involved of whether or not you get big or not on YouTube. You know, like there's.
You are right though. Like hockey, actual golf, those are very expensive sports to like get into when you're younger. For someone like me who's knows nothing, like how much does it cost if I'm a 12-year-old kid and my dad wants to buy me a kit to go do disc golf?
I mean, you can buy one disc, you can buy a used disc for $7 and have a great time playing. You know, so lots of benefits there. But again, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's kind of, there's a reason why like soccer isn't popular. There has to be a reason why soccer isn't popular in the United States, but it's popular.
Too much running. Bro. It's the same reason I'm not doing disc golf.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying there's a reason why if you go to Brazil, it's way more popular than everywhere else. And maybe the answer is like, well, Brazil doesn't have basketball. They have basketball, but they don't have an NFL. They don't have, I don't know. It's weird. I don't have the answer to that. It's very interesting. I know a lot of people, obviously, when you get into these niche sports, it was very similar with Ultimate. People love talking about like, oh, if this happens, it's going to blow up, and all we need is this to happen, and then it's going to blow up. I think at the end of the day, you just have to kind of play it by ear, do your best, and see what happens. This
is probably a loaded question for you, but like, I mean, how much of it do you put on your shoulders? I mean, you got nearly 1 million followers.
I put 0 on my shoulders. What the heck? I'm just doing my thing. If people want to come along and join the journey, come along. If it's not, I mean, I've taken, obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Go and look at my numbers. I've taken a massive hit switching from Frisbee trick shots to golf and then switching from golf to disc golf. I think I had 1.2 million on Instagram and like getting 20, 30, 40, 50,000 likes on posts. Now I'm lucky if I get 5,000 likes on posts. It's one of those things, though, where I've never, from the very get-go, when I started doing Frisbee videos, clearly I was not making Frisbee videos to get famous and rich.
Yeah.
No one was doing that, so it wasn't like that was even a thought in my head. I got lucky. It turned out pretty decent for me, but my entire career on social media has always been me doing the things that I want to do and things that bring me enjoyment. And if people want to tune along and watch and support, awesome. If they want to say this sucks, go back to Frisbee trick shots, this sucks, go back to golf, that's their opinion. But I'm always going to do the stuff that I enjoy. I'm never going to do the thing that people want me to do.
Great answer. Thanks for letting me talk. I appreciate it.
Of course, brother. Take it easy, man.
Thank you.
I was going to piggyback off of that conversation. Okay, so when different sports are taken over by different, people who play it and stuff, right? I think the broadcasting is a little bit different, and so just kind of blackout dates and stuff. Sometimes you don't even get the games in your own cities, and you're just like, what's going on? It's just really, really hard to kind of like Brodie was saying, just get eyeballs on a bunch of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, this is kind of cool, to have a open disc golf forum to kind of talk about some issues, right? So that way we can just keep thinking about what the community could one day have a solution for it, So if it's something that we really want, we can try to actually build it,
Well,
instead of being
speaking for all fat people, we're going to need golf carts. We're going to need some golf carts.
Yeah, I think.
Is that okay?
I think having little individual golf carts could be crucial. Like having a little skateboard, those skateboard things that you can zip around on, that would be pretty dope. All right, Mitchell, finish us off, brother. I got to go to bed.
So to kind of touch base on what Big Tone said. So with individual sports and stuff, and when you start out in middle school and in elementary school, you pay an athletic fee and you get, it's whether it's $90 and they give you pads and that type of stuff. What if we did that from a disc golf perspective where, say you wanted to be on a youth disc golf team, where your parents would pay a $10 to $15 athletic fee and they'd give you a disc, and then you would also basically have practice at the local course and stuff like that. And I think the biggest thing to growing the sport is growing the youth movement and building youth tournaments and stuff like that.
I agree. No, I agree. The youth side of things is crucial. But this is where I'm at. When I was going through my sports journey as a kid, my mom literally let me play anything, and she would let me switch. If I got bored of baseball, she would let me go play soccer. If I got bored of soccer, I went to play flag football. She never really locked me into anything, and so I was really able to bounce around and try everything out to see what I liked. And that's where ultimately I think is a difficult thing for some people to realize, of where we might just be. I'm trying to equate it to like food. And I could sound really dumb with this analogy, but like we might be the people that like caviar, right? Like we might.
You're a vegan and everything else is meat and potatoes. That's a great comparison.
Yeah, like we might just be those people that really enjoy caviar, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, there's just a lot of people that don't like caviar. And no matter how much we tell people caviar is awesome, it's delicious, it's the best ever, there's just going to be a lot of people that are not interested in trying it. And that's where I think it's a struggle, because it's like I can tell, like, there's other sports out there that people are so passionate about and love it so much. Rock climbing, that's a good one. They're like, if you've ever gone and talked to a rock climber before, they will talk your ear off of how much, I did this, and oh my God, I went to the gym today and I beat my time here, and I'm going to do. They absolutely love it. I could care less. I have no interest in rock climbing. I don't care at all. And it is what it is. And if we just found disc golf, and I think there's no issue with disc golf not getting any bigger. There's no issue with disc golf not being one of the biggest sports. I think for me, what I'm trying to do is at least just expose people to it. I think that's what's crucial. Is if you're someone that just says, I don't like caviar, and I go, well, have you ever had it? And you say no, then I'm going to be like, well, how do you know you didn't like it? So it's trying to get those people just to try disc golf. And if they turn out and say, like, this sport sucks, you guys are a bunch of wimps, why are you playing this? So be it. I can't change that person's mind, but at least they tried it out and gave it a shot. I think there's a lot of people that haven't given disc golf a shot, don't even know about disc golf, and could really enjoy it. But until they get out there and try it, they have no idea. And that's where I'm at, is like, let's just try to expose people to it. But I'm not in the camp of disc golf is the greatest sport ever and every other sport sucks. Like, no, like when you are in the sport that you love to play, you think your sport is the best.
Sure. Yeah, we're all in pretty much an echo chamber.
We all have different takes on it. So, all right, I'm going to take the last call. Oh, real fast.
I think the reason why more people don't get to disc golf is because the learning curve when you start is so high. Like, we all experience when you
I would actually say I would say actually the opposite. I think disc golf has one of the easiest learning curves, and I think the problem that some people might find with it is how easy of a sport it is when they don't really understand that they might just be playing a course that's really easy. Like, there's not enough information out. Like, everyone knows if you go play mini golf that you're not actually golfing. So if you go out and you play mini golf and you shoot 10 under, you're not going, well, golf is easy. Like, why the heck am I playing this? This sport's stupid. You understand you're playing a different sport. There are a lot of courses out there that are mini golf, disc golf courses, but they're not labeled that way. They're just labeled a disc golf course. So if you go out there and play it for the first time and you go out and shoot 10 under, you're going to be like, this sport's stupid. What the heck? This sport's so easy. I don't want to play this. You don't realize there's a whole other element to it. So it's all about getting people information, letting them understand what disc golf really is, getting them exposed to what disc golf at the highest level looks like. So when they do go out there and try it, they understand that there's a lot of growth and a lot more they can go, and not this, oh, well, I can just go out here and, dominate. This is super easy. So, all right. Thank you guys all for calling in. I appreciate it. We're going to wrap the show up here. Dang, that was a good long little episode there. We got some good calls. Still open for maybe some other callers. I know that one guy. What would that one guy say that I got offended by? Does anyone remember what he said? I asked him to come on the Twitter space. I didn't get offended. That's not the right word. I don't really get offended anymore. I saw it and I was like, I want this guy to come on and talk to me. What the heck did he say? I forget what he said. Hopefully someone's still listening and they can remind me. because he didn't come on here and talk about it. So I want to finish off. How do I call him drunk and full of confidence? Oh gosh, no, we don't. Something about my hairline? No, the hair is coming off soon. At some point, I don't know when, but it's coming off soon. I'm going to shave my head. It's happening very soon. Oh, he said it was the Paul. Okay, I don't want to get into the situation. I was being childish over Paul. Don't want to get in a situation. Never mind. I was hoping maybe he would come on and then say something, and then I could like let him know of like, you don't understand what actually ended up happening. But I'm not going to talk about that anymore. All right. I think that's it. I think I went through my list of everything I wanted to talk about. Show notes are done. The chat was popping off tonight. Everyone that joined on Twitter Spaces, thank you. We're going to keep this going. Let me know name suggestions. I'm going to try to figure out this microphone situation so the audio sounds way better tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but next episode. But this was good. I always have fun time coming on here, speaking my mind, having you guys listen to it, and then having you guys fire back some shots and let me know when I'm wrong. All right. I think that's all I got for tonight. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Foundation Podcasts. That's huge. There's 700 of you listening on YouTube, 40 of you on Twitter Spaces. Foundation Podcast, that's where you're on right now. This is Foundation Podcast. Tons of content gets posted on here. Majority, 99% of it is disc golf related. There are a handful of things that we talk about sometimes that aren't disc golf related. Bogey Bro Banner is a good little show where we just talk about whatever. But for the most part, if you want to stay up to date for disc golf, you want to get in the conversation, subscribe right here, Foundation Podcast. We're closing in on 25,000 subscribers, which would be incredible. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Thanks for listening. If you're listening to this after the fact and you made it all this way through, I think at this point, you've already realized these debate nights go long, and I don't have Hunter here telling me we need to stop or Silas telling me you got to stop talking. When I'm solo dolo, I just go until I can't go anymore. So it is what it is. I got to go to bed. I got to get a run in the morning. We got this 5K that we're training for virtually here in a couple of weeks. So wish me good luck for that. A couple of weeks. It's like a week and a half. But other than that, again, thank you guys so much. Appreciate all the support. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Let's end it. Nah. Finish it. Nah.